guys, so the first subject that we are tackling in this school year is photography. Now, I have a design background, interior design background, not necessarily a photography background, but I have been able to locate some curriculum online that I'm using as a guide for this particular course this term. And the reason why we were doing photography is I wanted something fun as an elective for my kids, something that I can engage in, they can engage in, and something that would help them to be creative, but also the skill set that you need for photography can translate over into other subjects. So you need to have a critical eye. You need to be able to kind of get outside of your shell, And so with one of my children, she's very kind of closed off, and I don't want to like push her out. But I want to be like, let's crack that shell just a little bit, Give me some creative. Let's look at why did you take this picture? Let's think about it. So we're using photography not just as learning a skill set, but also how can we develop critical thinking skills and analysis skills as well. How in a social setting we can learn how to kind of get outside of ourselves just a tad. Now, my son is a social butterfly. My daughter is still in her cocoon. So it is definitely something that I have to balance between the two, but they are enjoying what they are learning about photography. And right now we are about 3 weeks or so. We're 3 to 4 weeks into the school year. And so we are going over the basics of composition and the details within that. And so that has been really great. All right, guys, so what I want to do is I'm going to show you this. Let's see if I can get that. This is what I am using as a template for my photography course. Now, I would have loved to have supported these people, but I just wasn't in a position to purchase the curriculum that they offer. So I kind of just went through their course description and then tailored my homemade curriculum based off of what they did, with adjustments for my family and for my children's needs. But I love this because this is a intro and advanced. So we're kind of doing most of the introduction photography and a little bit of the advanced photography. And the goal is that as we are going over this photography through the course of the year, as they gain their skills, I want them to be able to create their own yearbook at the end of the term. At the end of the school year. So that is the goal, guys. And I've been really impressed with what I've seen so far with their photography. My little one, the Lord has gifted him, because I think he's just taking random shots. And then I look at these pictures and I'm like, these are really good, y'all. These are really good. And my daughter, I'm thinking she's like just kind of quickly doing it and dismissing things. And then I look at her shots and I'm like, these are pretty good, And so I've been thoroughly impressed with what they have done so far. And my daughter is opening up more, which is one of the things that I was really hoping she would do. So yay. And I'm going to go over the curriculum and how I adjusted it for my children. So for this term, we are breaking the curriculum down in terms of photography into 4 sessions. And so right now we're still in session 1 because this is the start of the school year. And in session 1, we're just laying the foundation. Let's talk about the history of photography. Let's talk about the history of the development of the camera. Let's look at the basic elements of photography and look at the elements of composition. And so that's kind of where we're at. We're looking at why is photography important? How historically has photography been used? Whether it is social media, whether it is in a historical context like photojournalism, you look at war, you look at the documentation of the Great Depression, like let's look at it from a historical context. And then let's look at it just, baseline in the beginning, And so that is session 1, which we are at. And we're about halfway through session 1. And I have been really impressed with the pictures that the children have taken so far. Session 2, we're going to get into more detail. Session 2, we're going to be looking at aperture, f-stop, depth the field, shutter speed, that type of stuff. We're going to be looking at photography in terms of life photography in terms of abstract photography as well, exposure, ISO, and then we're going to do a review. And at the end of each session, the children will have a project that will encompass everything that they learned in that session and the previous session. And so what we have been doing so far is we've been doing like mini projects, let's do a scavenger hunt, a photography scavenger hunt. And then you take your pictures. This is what you got to take. This is the method in which you take it. And, maybe you have to use a certain filter. Maybe you have to get a close up. Maybe you have to be far away. Maybe I want you to look for a certain color, and then you take that picture and then we discuss it afterwards. And so that's we've been doing mini projects like that just to get them in the habit of taking picture and using like that critical eye in an artistic sense. So we're building upon each of those skill sets. And so you have session 1, lays the foundation. Session 2 gets into the little bit more technical terms. And then as we move into session 3 is let's discuss the different types of photography. Portrait photography, architectural photography, landscape photography, photojournalism. Let's talk about that in detail. So let's talk about artistic photography and art manipulation. So that's session 3. And then as we are going to wind down our photography course, we're going to be looking at, all right, you know how to take the pictures. Now let's get into editing, and we've been doing minimal editing, cropping, changing from, the original color setting into a black and white. Simple, basic editing, because I want them to get a feel for the actual art of basic taking pictures. And so now, once we get into session 4, we're going to be looking at, let's do a little bit more editing and manipulation of our images. And then we're going to move into that kind of digital realm where let's lay the foundation of creating our yearbook based on all of the pictures you have taken throughout the school year. So I am excited. Whether my children will be excited by the time we get to the end of this term, I do not know, but I am excited for what it's worth. I think it's going to be a great year in terms of photography. And I'll put a couple of their pictures up and through. What I wanted to do now is show you some of the assignments that the kids are doing, and just so you can kind of get an idea of what I have been creating for my kids in terms of this course. So as we are in the first session of our photography course, I've been giving them scavenger hunts. And so the scavenger hunts, I know I have a bad shadow, but the scavenger hunts here, it's 1 page per scavenger hunt. There's 7 pictures that they have to take in each scavenger hunt. And so for this one here, they had to photograph a wavy line. And it had to be a close-up of the wavy line, whatever your interpretation was. Photograph something red or in the red family, and I always have to specify because my son is really specific. He'd be like, that's not red, that's vermilion, that's crimson, that is like anything but a true red. So I have to be like, okay, this color and anything in that family, do it at an angle. Do something that's in nature, that's green at a distance, okay? So in any event, we have everything that they have to photograph, how they have to photograph it. And then they have questions at the bottom that they have to answer. And they're really simple questions like, what was the most difficult thing about this particular scavenger hunt? What was the most enjoyable thing about this particular scavenger hunt? And what I do is I go through all of their pictures and I analyze them. And I give them feedback. And they're like, hey, this is blurry. Make sure you set your feet when you before you take the picture, and wait for the camera to focus, because we're just using autofocus right now. So make sure that you set your feet and you are in position, and that you wait for the camera to focus before you take your shot. Maybe it's an amazing shot, and I have no critique other than the fact that this was amazing. You did a great job. Keep going. Maybe it's, think about your camera positioning. How would this image turn out differently if you took it from a different vantage point? Okay, so those are the things that the type of feedback that I give them on all of their images. So the scavenger hunts have been really fun. We tend to go downtown. We live in small town USA, truly small town USA. And so we go down to our little downtown, and maybe we'll take pictures around downtown. Maybe we go to some other little places in town and we'll take pictures, or to the local library, or what have you, to get pictures. Now for my oldest, there was an event in town that my son participated in, and that I told my daughter, your job is to be the photographer for today. So we're going to talk about some photojournalism and what that means, and how pictures have been used to tell a story. And in that photojournalism, like, you get one shot to tell the story. And so she had to follow us throughout the day and take pictures. And then and so I gave her feedback on her pictures, and then afterwards she had to write an article based on that assignment, the photojournalism part. So now we're going to move from photojournalism to journalism. Okay, so now I'm incorporating writing into their photography. So tell me, this is the event that you went to. This is the event that you were tasked to be the photographer for. I want you to practice writing like a news article based on your experience. And then your job is to go through your pictures, and you got to find the best picture that tells a story about this event. Okay, so how do we marry that photography with that writing? And so a lot of the photography that we have been doing, a lot of the assignments that we have been doing with photography also has a writing element in there. And so we're looking at handwriting, we're looking at traditional writing and grammar and sentence structure, and how do you compose a paragraph, and so we're mixing all of that together, and that's been really fun. At least it's been really fun for me, because sometimes doing just strict language arts is really boring, to be honest, and my kids get bored really easily. And so I'm always trying to figure out, how can I mix in multiple subjects within the underneath the umbrella, or whatever the main subject is. And that's kind of how we've been doing language arts in our homeschool. So there's math, let's write about it. If it's photography, let's write about it. If it's history, let's write about it. So it has been a fun start to the term. I didn't want to give the kids anything super heavy to start our school year, because we have been, guys, we had issues at our old house that, there was mold, there was asbestos that we found. We had to take the house down to the studs and rebuilt the house. And then it's still, in the sections that we rebuilt, like, we still needed more space. And so we just decided to take a leap of faith, guys, and moved. And so 2023, literally all of 2023, the end of 2022, and the good majority of 2024, we have been in and out of boxes. because the housing situation and construction has been going crazy. So we're finally at a place where we are settled. I still have boxes everywhere, but we're finally at a place where we're settled and we can really get back into the swing of things and get some consistency with our homeschool. And so honestly, that is probably the main reason why I decided to start with photography, an elective, as the first course that we are going over with homeschool, because it's been crazy, guys. It's been cuckoo pants. But I am excited, and then we are going to be moving into, at the end of the year, I want to be out of at least session 1 and session 2 of photography, and then move into art history and history. And I'm really excited about going into art history, just a little, because we have the Smithsonian, and there's a lot of different museums that have assignments, like art history assignments on their website. So I'm excited because we don't live in a big area anymore. So there's not a lot of museums. So we don't really have that luxury, like if I was back in DC, to go to all these different museums. But I am very grateful that a lot of these museums have classes online that you can kind of pull worksheets from, and that we can go over those here at the house. So we're going to use art history in conjunction with regular U.S. history, 1700s to, I think we're doing 1700s, 1750 to 1810 is the next, set of courses. And so with homeschool, I tend to do 1 to 2 subjects at a time, because anything more than that will overwhelm my kids. So right now we're doing language arts with a touch of math thrown in, and photography. But it's mostly language arts and photography. And then we're going to move into history and art history. And then after that, come the new year, we're going to move probably into biology. Will be last, because biology, I know I've been pushing biology back and back and back. But probably come the new year, we're going to be doing language arts, a big focus on language arts and mathematics, because we're going into pre-algebra with my oldest. So she needs to get pre-algebra and algebra started and out the way. So we're going to start that come the new year. And so we're doing heavy subjects in our second term. So pre-algebra, algebra, biology, all of that is coming next year. This year, art history, history, photography, language arts. That's a lot, y'all, but that's what we're doing in homeschool, and how we have started our homeschool year, guys. So y'all know the drill. We'll see you in the next video. Okay? Bye.